You follow every rule. No phone before bed, no late meals, a full 8 hours of sleep, and still you wake up drained. Your eyes open, but your mind feels like it's buried under a wet blanket of static, confusion, and fatigue. You sit on the edge of your bed, asking yourself how sleep can last so long and still feel so useless. That quiet frustration builds. Not just because you're tired, but because you did everything right, and it still wasn't enough. For years, I thought waking up tired was just part of being an adult. I dragged myself through the mornings like a machine stuck in low power mode. My brain felt like it was buffering all the time, struggling to load simple thoughts. No matter how much I slept, I woke up foggy, unfocused, and strangely anxious. I blamed stress, screens, bad habits, even my genetics at one point. But one night, after a particularly rough morning, I decided to try something different. Not a complete life overhaul, just a 15-minute experiment before bed. I didn't expect much, but within a week, everything about my mornings began to shift. On day 3, I woke up and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Clarity. My thoughts moved in straight lines. My mood was lighter. I wasn't chasing the clock. By day 5, I stopped hitting snooze because I didn't need to escape my day anymore. And on day 7, it hit me. My brain wasn't broken. It was just never truly resting. That tiny night hack rewired more than my sleep. It rewired my mind. I stopped waking up in survival mode and started waking up with intention. Mornings felt clean, quiet, powerful, like I had a head start on the world. All from one simple routine I now protect like it's sacred. And you can start tonight. For a long time, I thought more hours in bed meant more rest. So I kept aiming for 8, sometimes even 9, hoping it would fix the fog. But no matter how early I slept, I still woke up tired, tense, and overloaded. That's when I realized I was chasing the wrong target. The problem wasn't the number of hours. It was what my mind carried into them. Imagine trying to sleep with 100 browser tabs open in your head. Even when the screen is dark, the system is still running, draining energy. That's how I was living. Asleep, but never truly shutting down. Rest isn't just about being unconscious. It's about releasing the weight of the day. Most people close their eyes at night, but their mind keeps scrolling, planning, replaying. Like background noise in an empty room, it never really goes silent. And when your brain never hits pause, sleep becomes just another task, not a reset. The truth is, deep rest starts before you even hit the pillow. It starts when you clear the mental clutter, close the loops, shut the tabs. Without that, sleep becomes like trying to recharge a phone that's still running 10 apps. Real rest doesn't come from more time. It comes from better shutdown. The simplest way to fall asleep faster is also the one we resist the most. Put the phone down, not 5 minutes before bed. Not while lying under the covers. 34 minutes without screens gives your brain time to switch gears. It tells your nervous system we're done absorbing. It's time to let go. Your brain is a pattern machine. When it sees blue light or scrolling thumbs, it thinks you're still in the middle of your day, processing, reacting, surviving. But dim lights, brushing your teeth in silence, and walking slowly to bed send the opposite message. They say the world is safe now. You can power down. When I stopped checking my phone right before bed, something changed immediately. My thoughts stopped racing. My body relaxed without me forcing it to. It was like someone turned the volume down on my internal dialogue. The shift wasn't magic. It was biology. My brain finally got the memo that sleep is coming. Now, I treat those last 30 minutes like a sacred space. No emails, no videos, no stimulation, just presence and softness. Even lighting a candle or playing soft music becomes part of the ritual. Because when you train your brain to disconnect, rest isn't forced. It flows. Before bed, My mind used to spin like a carousel I couldn't step off. Thoughts about tomorrow's tasks, random memories, even things I forgot to Google. So I started doing a brain flush, writing everything down without order or logic. Not to solve anything, just to empty the mental noise onto paper. Think of your brain like a browser with 20 tabs open at once. Even if you're not looking at them, they're draining power in the background. Jotting things down is like hitting save and close on each tab one by one. It doesn't fix everything, but it finally lets the system rest. I write whatever shows up. Reminders, feelings, unfinished thoughts, dumb ideas. There's no structure, no judgment, no need to be neat or profound. Even the act of writing I feel overwhelmed gives the feeling somewhere to go. It's not about organizing your life. It's about letting your brain exhale. After the flush, I feel lighter. Not more productive, just more human. The tension in my chest softens. The static in my mind fades into the background. It's a ritual now. One that tells my body we're not carrying this into sleep. And somehow, just by writing it down, the weight doesn't follow me to bed. The brain loves patterns. It watches what you repeat and starts to build associations. So I chose one tiny cue I would do every single night before sleep. Sometimes it was reading the same 2 pages from a familiar book. Other nights, it was lighting the same candle or playing the same soft song. At first, it felt silly, like a kid's bedtime routine for a grown adult. But by night 3, my body started to respond before I even finished the ritual. I would yawn halfway through the first paragraph or feel my breathing slow with descent. My nervous system recognized the signal and began preparing for rest. That cue became a bridge between the busy world and my inner stillness. It didn't need to be fancy or spiritual, just consistent and gentle. The more I repeated it, the more reliable it became. Like muscle memory for the mind, it guided me to sleep without resistance. Now I don't wait to feel sleepy. I start the ritual and the rest follows. My brain knows what comes next and responds with calm instead of chaos. That one simple anchor became the switch I flipped to transition into peace. And once you find yours, sleep stops feeling random and starts feeling automatic. After the brain flush, I take one more step to settle my system. I write down one thing that went right and one thing I'm grateful for. Not big life goals or motivational quotes, just small, honest details from my day. Like how the coffee smelled better than usual or how the sky turned orange at sunset. Those tiny moments act like emotional anchors in a storm of overthinking. They remind my nervous system that not everything is urgent or broken. When I name something real and gentle, my body begins to unwind without effort. It's less about positivity and more about pausing the internal noise. One night, I wrote that I finally returned a message I had been avoiding. It wasn't heroic, but it gave my mind a sense of closure and completion. Another time, I wrote about the way the breeze moved the curtain beside my bed. These details sound simple, but they speak directly to the part of me that wants peace. The more I practice this, the more emotionally steady I feel by the time I lie down. I'm no longer carrying invisible tension into sleep, waiting for dreams to fix it. Instead, I fall asleep already feeling safe, already feeling like I've arrived. Because when you close the day with gentle winds, the night no longer feels like a fight. I used to treat sleep like something I would get to when everything else was done. It was an afterthought, a leftover piece of the day, squeezed in when possible. But once I started treating it like a scheduled meeting, everything shifted. Sleep became an appointment with myself, not an optional luxury I could skip. I set a clear start time, just like I would for an important call. At that time, lights dim, work stops, and my focus moves inward. I lower the temperature in my room, knowing cooler air signals rest to the body. That one decision gave sleep the respect it deserved, instead of leaving it to chance. The effect was immediate. My nights no longer felt rushed or chaotic. I wasn't stumbling into bed exhausted and unprepared. Instead, I was arriving at a space already designed for restoration. It felt less like collapsing and more like entering a sanctuary. Over time, this routine became non-negotiable, like brushing my teeth or showing up to work. It wasn't about discipline or perfection, but about honoring my own needs. By protecting sleep, I began to protect every other part of my day. And the respect I gave to that nightly meeting paid me back in energy, focus, and calm. After 7 days, my mornings felt like they belonged to me again. I didn't wake up dragging myself through fog or searching for motivation. I opened my eyes and felt steady, like my body and mind were finally on the same team. It was the first time in years that I felt ready for the day instead of running from it. The difference wasn't just more energy, it was a softer kind of strength. I moved slower, but with intention, no longer frantic or scattered. Conversations felt clearer, my thoughts connected instead of colliding. I carried myself with a calmness that others noticed before I even spoke. Each morning became a quiet victory, a reminder that change was possible. I didn't dread the hours ahead. I welcomed them with a steady rhythm. I began to feel like the kind of person who was in control, not controlled by exhaustion. That shift in identity was more powerful than any extra hour of sleep. By the end of the week, I realized I wasn't just sleeping better. I was becoming better, calmer, sharper, more alive. I stopped seeing rest as wasted time and started seeing it as my foundation. And with that foundation, everything else in my life began to rise with me. If you remember only one thing from this video, let it be this. Start tonight with one small step that feels doable. Maybe it is turning your phone off and placing it in another room so your mind stops reaching for stimulation. Maybe it is sitting with a notebook and emptying every thought until the page feels lighter and your chest feels free. Do not pressure yourself to do everything at once, because change that lasts is built piece by piece. Tomorrow you can add another layer, something just as simple, like dimming your lights early or cooling your room before sleep. These little rituals begin to stack gently until they form a rhythm that carries you forward. What begins as an experiment quickly becomes an identity shift. Think of tonight as the first step toward mornings that feel alive instead of empty. You do not need perfection. You only need consistency. And the beauty is that consistency starts with a single choice. Every night offers you a new chance to reset, to tell your body and mind it deserves peace. And the way you end your day becomes the quiet architect of how you begin the next one. If this video gave you even a single idea worth trying, do not keep it to yourself. Press like so more people can discover it, and share it with someone you know who's lying awake, wishing for change. There are thousands of people trapped in the same cycle you were once stuck in, and one small action from you could set them free. Tonight is not just about you. It is about showing others that rest is possible.